now we are going to unmold our sugar bottle mold. Now, after about 5 hours at 70 degrees, you can see that the consistency of the Copyflex has really changed. So we know now that it's cured, and then now we can take the mold out of its mold box. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to peel the bottom off, and I'm going to take off the safety clay gasket off the bottom. Now, this can be reused for another project. Now, do you see the bottom? You see how nicely the bottle has stayed in the middle of the Copyflex. What we're going to do is we're going to take the mailing tube, which served as our mold box. We're going to remove that from our mold. And you can see how these tubes are made. They have kind of a spiral construction. And what you want to do is you just want to make a cut right where that spiral ends. You see that? Now, what you'll be able to do now is you can just tear your tube off. See that? Now, I want to show you. See how beautifully the silicone releases from the paper? And you'll find that your bottle mold is going to have the same spiral markings as the inside of your shipping tube. I'm going to put that aside. And now we have our actual bottle mold. Okay, we're just going to wipe the bottom. And looks really good. We're going to get into actually unmolding the bottle. Now, I just want to tell you that even though Copyflex is very flexible, it's going to be very difficult to get this bottle out of this mold. Subsequently, when you're casting this mold with sugar, the kind of forces that you're going to exert on the bottle by unmolding it is just going to break the bottle, whether it's in sugar or chocolate. Now, do you remember those white marks that we made on the bottom of the bottle before we mounted it with the anchor dit? Well, there's the white mark, and that lets me know that that's where the seam is, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a marker, and I'm just going to mark on my silicone, okay? You see how I have corresponds to that white mark, okay? And now I've got a cue as to where the seam is. I'm going to slit this silicone with a knife, and I want to make that slit as close to the seam of the bottle as I can. That way, if my slit does make a very small seam in the sugar bottle, it's going to line up with a seam that's already there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a straight edge here, and I just want to place a mark on my mold that I can follow along with. And I'm going to take that mark across the top. Okay, now, the next step is take a very sharp knife, and what I want you to do is just pierce the silicone with the sharp knife. About a ½ an inch down, you're going to hit the top of your bottle, okay? And then while you're keeping pressure and the tip of the knife on your bottle, just bring it across, okay? And you'll be able to feel now where the edge of the cap is. And it's easier if we put it down like this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slice right through the silicone while we're keeping the tip of the knife on the bottle. Okay? And you just try to follow the line that you made with your marker. Now this line doesn't have to be absolutely straight. And I'm going to show you why. We just want to make a nice cut. Now, what you want to do is just inspect it, okay, and see if you made a good cut all the way through. There might be little areas like right under the cap where the cap meets the bottle that you have to cut a little better, which is fine. So we're going to take our knife. I'm just going to make some nice cuts. All right, now we're also going to go in the opposite direction, and I like to cut through the silicone mold on down the other side just a little bit, just about a ½ an inch to where the cap starts. Okay? Now, once we have our slit in the mold, you can see that it opens really, really nice. I'm going to take this line down just a little more. Okay. Sometimes the area where the cap meets the bottle, it's just like a little step. And you really have to just take your time. Now, our mold is ready. We have a nice slit mold, and see how nicely that opens. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our beer bottle out, okay, unharmed, ready to drink, for a job well done. But anyway, as you can see, we have a beautiful shiny interior, okay? Now, Copyflex has memory to it. It's going to want to spring back, okay? It's going to want to achieve the shape it was molded into. But I'm telling you, you know that you can't pour chocolate or hot sugar into this. It'll just run out the seam. So, we go back to our 3-inch diameter mailing tube. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut the tube about 1 inch shorter than my silicone mold. And not only am I going to cut it 1 inch shorter, but I'm going to make a cut right down the side of it, because now what I've done is I've made a really nice support shell. Now this support shell just fits right over your slit mold. And notice how the slit in my silicone mold never lines up with the slit in my support shell. Now if we take some number 83 rubber bands and we put it right around here, what happens is that the rubber bands compress the mailing tube back to its original position, and the rubber inside is forced into the original position before I ever slit it. Now, I can't even see the seam. This is a perfect mold for pouring the bottles. In fact, it'll be very difficult for you to ever see the seam left by the slit that we made with our knife. So, the mold is done. It's ready. And why don't we give it a test drive, and let me show you how you can cast sugar bottles with isomalt very, very simply, very easily.